We are live.
Hello, and welcome to the next edition of the Circle Leadership. It's time to leave different live stream. My name is Collin Dayley, and I'm the Circle leader and North American lead for Circle Leadership Global. And my partner in crime is Dave Clare, CEO and founder of Circle Leadership. And today, as it's the second week of January, and everyone has already dropped off all of their New Year's resolutions. I thought we take sort of a smorgasbord look at some topics, and maybe explore some things that are going to be, I think, really important for leaders and leadership in this coming year. And a couple of ideas that we thought we wanted to explore, and that might be really interesting for us to go deeper on around how AI and recently, Dave, you've written and published a book right behind you on your shoulder there, and so how AI is really impacting leadership, and the concepts of creating team and being able to enable and resource teams. For those of you who are watching now at live and or later, get yourself a copy of that book. It's super detailed and focused on strategies and concepts to help leaders really navigate and plan for. And I'm overstating, Dave. You could probably go into more detail, but I'd like to talk about that.
Yep.
And maybe do some future casting, and maybe some warnings and some myth busting. So, what are your thoughts on that?
I love myth busting for sure. I think there's this year's. I was talking to some of our clients yesterday on some of the coaching sessions we had online, and I was talking about this year and what it's all about. We've talked already about the fact that this is your year to get ready, but if you think about all the things that are transpiring or will transpire throughout this year, AI, the hype of AI is kind of like flattening out now. And, maybe people will start to realize they need to have an AI strategy. Then, the impacts of that on, culture and people, which is why I wrote Humane, of course, which is one of the only books out there that actually looks at AI through the lens of people and culture, while all the rest of the books out there are talking about productivity and process and profitability and all these things that AI can do for you. This one's for leaders about the human element, and how do we help people to leverage that AI? Because if you don't get that right, it doesn't matter what you do with the rest of the AI. Mm-hmm. So that's all going to happen this year, Collin. And I think there's still all this, and I've talked about this a lot. There's the and I did a post about it this morning, actually, this imbalance or the shifting power all the time between employer and employee relationships. Like we went from the Great Resignation to the great whatever else was next, and then there's the Great Return, and then there's the Great Detachment, and now there's the Great, what are they calling it now? I was just reading this morning something about calling it the Great Stay. So the power's going back to bosses now, and I'm like, throughout this year we've got to deal with AI. We've got to deal with this silly reason. For some silly reason, we have this power shift in organizations about employees that we're going to have to lead through. Then factor in other technology that's going to come in.
Right.
And then, the competitive nature of stuff. And, it's funny, in the end, it's still always, always, always going to come down to people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that leaders are going to have to deal with this year in terms of existential crisis in the workplace, AI, you name it, even for themselves, and then their own development. And we can't keep leading organizations, Colin, the way we've led them for the past X number of years.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm all for this melting pot of whatever that's going on that we should be discussing.
Yeah. So to that point, so you've got the nexus now of technology, artificial intelligence as its current iterations, and the emergence of new sort of deeper state AI applications that are going to be behind the scenes, and people. And what is it that in your estimation, what is it that's going to be the sort of the joining force, right? How do we create synchronicity or collaboration or a connection how do we actually adapt AI or people into the, into this new world? What do you think are the couple of the
Yeah,
big things? Yeah.
that's a lot to unpack there. That's but I love. So firstly, with AI, so the whole thing is we need to make sure AI is an amplifier, right? So you and I know this very well, that AI is an amplifier. So if you have a bad culture, AI will amplify that. If you have really bad
Right.
decision making, it will accelerate bad decision making. Whatever it is. If you have great culture, it'll amplify a great culture. If you have great decision making filters in place, it will amplify your ability to make greater decisions faster. Right. So firstly, that's the AI component. The second part we talked about here is collaboration. This is one of the biggest fundamental shifts that organizations and leadership's going to have to embody and understand beyond AI, is moving from an ecosystem of your organization to an ecosystem organization.
Mm,
Collaboration cannot thrive in an ecosystem.
yeah.
If you want true collaboration to happen in your organization, that means you want all people, different people working together for a greater good. When logos and egos are off the table and no one gives a crap who gets the credit, then you're collaborating. And if you
Right.
want that to thrive in your organization, then you have to have an ecosystem, not an ecosystem where I'm the boss and you report to me.
Right.
Hence what I was talking about, this power shift. Like, I'm a boss, you're my subordinate. There's a
Right.
shift back to bosses now and all this sort of crap. The return to work, all this sort of stuff.
Mhm.
You got to get past all that crap and understand that what is an organization if it's not just a bunch of human beings, Colin, working together for a greater good, right? So,
Right. Yeah.
right. But if that greater good is some monetary, or we always say this, that if money's your end game, you'll play any game, right?
Right.
So we need to have all that made. So we need to we need to move from ego to eco. We need to have collaboration thrive. And we have to have a culture that's set up that will embody AI, because AI has to follow the same rules as your culture.
Yep. So let's talk about culture. Let's talk about culture then, since it sounds like culture is the lead, and that AI then needs to adapt to that culture, not the other way around.
Yes.
So let's talk about the the cornerstones, the foundation of culture, and I mean, let's explore. There are just a ton of misunderstandings, misconceptions about culture. A lot of times I've had clients, that have looked at culture as perks and benefits, and and that kind of thing. I've looked at others that look at it like, it's a cult of personality, and we talk about ecosystems there. That's, by the way, that's a very, and I'm going to challenge you here as a devil's advocate, but
Sure.
it's easy to say, super hard to do, right? Because I'm the leader of the organization. This is my vision. And I'm taking all the risk, and I'm the one on point. Me and my core leadership team are on point. So I expect you to do the work that I expect you to do. So I know there's a lot there to unpack again, but let's talk about culture itself, and then, because I think understanding the dynamic of culture will help us think about how to integrate or connect or coordinate with AI. What do you think?
Okay, so yes, culture is everything, right? So culture is not a strategy. So a lot of people, part of our strategic plan process, we're going to assess, address our culture. No, culture should give birth to your strategy, not the other way around. Culture is the shield that protects your strategy, not the other way around. So culture is the ultimate filter for talent. So for an organization, yes, AI must embody the aspects of your culture. The problem is, you have a culture whether you define it or don't define it. There is a culture in your organization. And if you slap AI into an undefined culture, prepare, and don't be surprised or get prepared for chaos to reign, because it will just, like I said, amplify and augment everything that's going on, right?
Mm-hmm.
It will be the great amplifier. And so we need to get our cultural framework right. So in your organization, when you get your cultural framework right, and then you have your people and you go, hey, I've got these really cool tools that can help you now to become the best version of yourself and do your life's best work while you're in my care and beyond. I would like to help you with that. Your culture will go, give me those tools, right? So that's when we adopt and bring AI in. So your culture wants to have these tools, because you're actually treating people as human beings first, employees second. You're providing resources for your humans, not treating your humans as a resource.
Right.
So if you're a leader of an organization, it's your vision, Colin. Yep, it's your company. Yeah, I get it. It's all that. But are you going to achieve your vision all on your own? Are you going to be able to do it without people?
No, no,
No.
and I recognize that.
Yeah.
It's
So would you like to bring your people on a journey, or would you like to whip them and yell at them and scream at them and dangle carrots and hope that they'll come with you on the journey?
Yeah, it's just the again, for conversation's sake and devil.
Oh, no, I know.
There is a little bit of an ethereal nature to culture, right?
Yes.
And the concept, because it's really hard to measure a high quality culture versus a low quality culture, except when you see it, right? And when people, I mean, obviously there are some core measures, retention, your ability to acquire top talent, your customer service, sales, revenue. I mean, some of those are all attributed to your culture. Like we talked about last week, culture is your brand. So if you have a crappy brand, you more than likely have a crappy culture. So follow it back upstream. And if you have crappy culture, you have probably some crappy leadership styles. Maybe more of the ecosystem versus the ecosystem. Help me and help us think about how we maybe put some I don't know, some meat on the bone of culture.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, please understand that, you can measure culture. Culture is easy to measure. Is your organization achieving its goals? Yes or no?
Okay.
Like fundamentally, how many people we talk to, Collin, they go, oh, we have a great culture, but, we really need to reassess our strategy. We're really not executing well. We're not da-da-da-da. And well, then that's a culture problem. When you say you have a great culture, does that mean you have beanbags and foosball tables and everyone likes to go high five and everyone has drinks on Fridays? Like, that's a great culture.
Yeah.
That's a difference. Your team vibe versus your culture are different things. And so firstly, yes, you can. Go ahead.
I was going to say, okay, so let's talk about the levers that we can pull as leaders in that, so when we are faced with an existential crisis, for example, and our business needs to shift in order to survive, which happens in every business. How do we what are those things that we can identify, those top 3 to 5 things that we can identify to help shift that culture fast? Or is that the wrong question?
Not necessarily the wrong question. Contextually, I don't know, can you shift a culture fast? Certainly you can execute fast. Culture, to your point of this ethereal, whatever nature of it is, if you understand your culture and you understand the key ingredients to building an invincible culture, those levers you're talking about, you can pull any of those levers at any time. And this is as a leader in an organization, from a leadership point of view, they should be the tools or the levers in which you have handy with you all the time, right? So, and if we can rally people around this purpose, which is the something to believe in, when everyone has something to believe in, can you imagine when every single human being has something to believe in beyond a paycheck in your organization, and everyone has a personal connection to your public sense of purpose? Mm-hmm. And they go, wow, I am connected, I'm engaged, and I know why I matter. And I know why I matter here, and I know why our organization matters here. Okay. And we have all that connectivity, and you can pull that lever hard. Okay, that's the first one you should be pulling, right? Yeah. Then you obviously the next lever is your values. Now, this is where a lot of organizations get values. Most people understand what values are, but we believe that they're not doing them in an effective way that you can use as a lever. Because when your values of your organization say we value this and we do this, we do this, we do this, basically what I'm doing is I'm telling you what to think, Collin, and I'm teaching you how to think around here. So therefore, you're waiting to be told what to do, when to do it, how to do it, who to do it with, and so on. Right. Therefore, I can't pull that lever because that's the thing. I just have to keep pushing all the time. Right? Okay. So I have to keep pushing you to do the right thing, to drive the right behavior, because I'm not helping you learn how to think around here. I'm telling you what to think, so I can't pull that lever. Yeah. Right? But when you set your values up in a way where it goes, here's what we value and here's what it means, and then we can shift from that and pull that lever, go, hey, Collin, if we really valued simplicity, which is freedom from complexity, is this what we'd be doing right now? Is this how we'd be doing it? Right. I can reef on that lever, and then I can get you to go, well, oh, yeah, you know what, Dave? No, actually, we would be finding ways to add value by removing the things that don't. Actually, this part of this process is what causes friction. If we took those things out, we could actually move this faster and get results better for our clients. Great, Collin, let's do that.
Let's do that. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So you can pull that lever.
Yeah.
Then the next lever that's there is a vision, right? So is that vision. So we now have something to believe in, that in terms of the purpose of our organization. We also now have our values, which shows that you have someone who believes in you. I believe in you because I'm empowering you to make the smarter decisions. I'm just here helping you get a better yes, as we talk about. I think we put this in the frameworks in the past, is helping you find a better yes. That's all my job is.
Yeah.
Right. Because you already know what to say no to. So everything else you can say yes to. My job is just to help you find a better yes.
Yeah.
Or if there is a better yes, to find it. And then the last part then is that vision. So if you think about from building an invincible culture, I have something to believe in, someone who believes in me. All I need is someone to believe in. And getting back to your comment, as you so astutely said, I'm the leader. It's my organization. Yes. Well, here's the vision. Here's the long-term, here's the legacy piece, or the world that we're trying to create together. And can you imagine a world where work positively impacts people and the planet? And like, oh yeah, what do you think would be happening in workplaces if that was true today? Oh, we'd be doing this, and this, and this. Yeah. Then all of a sudden I'm reefing on that lever, and you're coming up with all the ideas of the things that we need to do to bring that world into reality.
Right.
So, there's culture right there. Purpose, values, vision, invincible framework, something to believe in, someone who believes in me, and someone I can believe in. I create that. And then all I have to do is wrap that around my strategy and reverse engineer my strategy inside that.
And bada bing.
And then AI, by the way, I'm going to give you AI. I give you all these really cool tools that will also not go against our purpose. Does this serve our purpose? Yes or no, AI? If it doesn't, great, then we aren't doing this. So we give AI the same framework pieces and the invincible culture that it has to operate within. So in our AI factory, the AI factory team members, the AI agents have to think and act inside the same framework as our human agents, and in the human factory, if you wish, like where the people work.
Sure. Right. Which is an intentional blending or merging of the culture and the technology.
Yeah.
So what I heard you say earlier, though, so those three levers, which, to your point, and I agree, are you don't turn an aircraft carrier on a dime, and you can start immediately, right, to start shifting and like you said, pulling on those levers within every conversation, right? And the leader needs to start rethinking, instead of telling their people what to do and being sort of micromanagers. They need to actually lead people to understand, to use the values framework, the cultural framework, make better decisions, to set objectives and key results that actually line up to the vision, right? That are then that they own. And so that process becomes an engagement process at every single connection point within the leader's connection with their team. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And you talked about that existential crisis. So from a leadership point of view, when we actually help our people learn how to think around here and help them, empower them to make those smarter decisions, understanding what to say no to so they can say yes to everything inside, and then become a coach, not a boss, to that better yes, what we're actually doing is, because AI is going to take away a lot of the doing. So let's wrap it back into AI. This can take a lot of the doing away, right? So what's going to be left if my identity is attached to what I do? Say, hey, Collin, I'm Dave. I'm Collin, great. So what do you do? Oh, I don't know. AI took everything away from me. Right. So I know I'm simplifying that, but now if you're actually working with your team to help them to learn how to think around here, we're going to move away from Collin, you're paid to work, not to think. Right. Because that's when we've structured organizations, because you don't need to think, because I've told you what to think and when to think it and how to think and who to think it with.
Right.
Now I'm moving to a place where I want to become coach and more coach in the organization and help you to learn to think for yourself, because the new mantra in the workplace today is, Collin, you're paid to think. And while you're here, if you have to do some work, that's okay.
Right.
We'll find systems and automations and AIs and stuff to get all that stuff, because I want to free you up to be the human that you are capable of being. Bring your best self to work and become more of what you're capable of, Collin. I want you to tap into your innate curiosity, imagination, intuition, empathy, and deploy that everywhere in our organization.
Right.
for our clients, our strategic partners, improve our systems, processes, methodologies. I want you to be free to do all that. And by the way, you can use AI to help you amplify anything in that space.
Right. Right. Excellent.
Can you
Cool.
imagine that?
I can't imagine that. And that's actually what we're on a mission to create for our clients.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
help people liberate their thinking around this. And
I love that. Liberate the thinking. Please, if you didn't hear anything else, Collin, you need to liberate your people's thinking. Listen to what he just said. Liberate their thinking. What does liberate mean? To unleash, to free, to, right?
Yeah.
That's a Dayleyism, right?
Yeah, and I think actually the key for a leader to be able to do that is to actually recognize and nurture the brilliance that's already within each of your team members and them collectively, and to see that, and then to be able to nurture that into being and connecting that brilliance, that individual and team brilliance, with the overall organizational brilliance. And you can then use AI, to get back to the topic, to add value to that formula, or to increase the capability and the competency of that group, to be able to innovate at a faster pace or at a higher level, to really start to do the impossible, which is what a leader needs to be able to see their team being able to do more and broader and faster than what they maybe can see for themselves. So
when you think about it, well, tell me when you let's get a really technical and managerial here for a second, which irks me to death, but let's do it anyway. Okay, so how much of the human being are we paying for in the workplace? And when you think, like, payroll is one of the largest recurring expenses. Humans aren't, payroll is. So in an organization, you're paying an employee $100,000 a year, for example, right? Are you paying for 50% of the employee, or you're paying for the whole employee to be there for those hours or whatever to achieve those objectives?
100%.
Right. But if your systems and processes and the way that you lead people, your organizational structure, your ecosystem, and all that doesn't allow that human to bring 100% of themselves to work every day and find a way to tap into even more of that, are you getting the best return on your investment?
No.
So
absolutely not. And
all you profit seekers, your biggest investment that you're making in your organization, you're getting probably the least return, not because of the thing that you're investing in, but because the systems, processes, and the leadership and the structures and all that are thwarting, or to Collin's point, they're not liberating that to be unleashed.
Yeah. And more even deeper, beyond the profit motive, and the return on investment motive. What about return on life? Like your return on life and your people, return on life. I mean, what does it profit us if we build a business where we're all miserable? We're
like, is that burnout? Like, if you had a piece of machinery in your organization that you just overran it, overworked it, didn't service it, didn't maintain it, didn't give it a break, didn't do anything like that, do you think you would get the lifespan out of that piece of machinery in your organization? No, you would never do that.
Yeah.
You would make sure it's maintained, a thing, because if that thing shuts down, it stops production, it does that. Yeah, for humans, we treat them like crap.
Right.
We won't do it. They won't give them a break. We'll get mad when they want to, take a 5-minute break or whatever. We don't give a crap about. We want them to work 24/7. We don't care about what happens outside of.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
All shit. What, Collin?
Yeah. For what?
Yeah. And you raise such a beautiful point here about this life, return on life, and I think that's a great article you should write on, like, what the return on life. Your wisdom is oozing out of you, my friend. The return on life is like, this is critical, because if I know that I'm going to have a great lifestyle because of the work that I get to do here, well, I think work has such an important part of life to us, right? As human beings, to be of service to something outside of yourself is what gives us meaning. And if I can get that through the workplace, as you're my leader of the organization I've chosen to do that with, and you can help me do that, and plus have a great lifestyle as well as that, I'm multiplying my return on life. I'm getting to do great work in this world. I matter. My work matters. My organization matters. I matter, like in a sense. Plus, when I go home, I can feel better about myself, and I can go home and still have a great life outside of that.
Right.
That's a multiplier.
Right. Oh, it's absolutely a force multiplier for sure.
Yeah. And so that return on life, you should be looking at what return on life am I giving to my team members?
Yeah. 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 And the more, again, I think
what are you giving them? What are you giving them? And the organization that can create the highest return on life, please understand, once again, Collin has dropped wisdom bombs left, right, and center, that this is, if you can start to go, what return on life am I giving to my team members? Instead of what return on investment am I getting from them? That right there, that's
well,
drop the mic, Collin. Please find a mic and drop it quickly.
Yeah, you can stop worrying about outcomes. You can stop worrying about outcomes and start experiencing, a more enhanced life and enjoy what you're doing. So, yeah, cool. Well,
so if anyone's in North America listening to this, watching this post or during, and Collin struck a nerve with you, please reach out to him and ask him about, how do I create a return on life for my team members, and maybe even for yourself.
Ideally. Actually, here's the old adage, right? What you give away, you get to keep. So
that's right. And if you want a great return on life, then help your team have the best return on life. For us, one of the things that, obviously from us, performance leadership versus performance management, we always talk about, it's about having your best year ever. But can you imagine an organization where your team members have their best year ever in terms of lifestyle, culture, their own performance, and productivity in the workplace, right? And I noticed I started with lifestyle and then the culture, and then, right?
Yeah.
Do you think you would have your best year ever if your team members all had their best year ever?
What is it that we're actually all after is well-being, right? So, how can we create, and this, what we've been talking about today is really about those levers that can help both you as a leader and your team find a sense of well-being, that security in the, something to believe in, someone to believe in, someone to believe in me are fundamental, I think, actually to humanity. And if we can actually think about and be intentional as we're building our cultures and pulling those levers and communicating and engaging with each of our team members, we become, a stronger and more, sort of powerful force individually and as an organization. So that's the last. I'm going to leave that with us today. We are at time or nearly at time, but Dave, thank you so much for your insight and wisdom and for a great conversation again today.
Thank you, mate. I'm just my mind's racing at the moment, right? So
good. Good. Well, that's our purpose here, and this is a great forum. So if anybody has questions, would like to explore any of these topics more deeply, drop it in the comments, contact us through LinkedIn or through Facebook, and we're happy to engage and explore these concepts further. And in successive forthcoming episodes, we will be diving into these concepts deeper and bringing additional expertise and some of the additional team members that are joining Circle Leadership in the world. So thank you for joining us today, and we will talk to you again next week.
Cheers, everyone. Go out and liberate your team and invest in their return on life, and reach out to Collin, and he'll share with you the simple way to go about doing such. Right. Take care, everybody. See you next week.